Hello and welcome to this week's Outburst and Sunday Heroes video. We're going to kick off with a song, Every Move I Make. It's a real good catchy tune, so get up on your feet and join in with the singing and some dance moves. We've learnt about parables, which are the short stories that Jesus told to teach people how to live right in God's eyes when he was here on earth with amongst the people. And I thought we'd do another one this week, and this week's parable is called the Good Samaritan. And when you watch this story, I need you to remember that Samaritans were people that everybody else didn't like. They were a group of people who were disliked by others, and generally they were looked down at and known as people who weren't very helpful, who weren't very kind. So remember that fact when you watch this story, The Good Samaritan.
The Holy Tales.
Hello, my name is Tubby. I live here in this wonderful library and I love to eat books. I live here with my friends Gumbo and Freckles. Gumbo, Freckles, come out, wherever you are. Over there, on that great book, is Grand Old Holy. She is really old and wise and tells us wonderful stories when she is awake, that is. Oh, and we love to sing. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures
already thought about the story that I'm going to tell you today.
Yes, please, go on.
Once upon a time, Jesus told the story of the Good Samaritan. There was a man who was traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho. On his way, he was robbed and beaten up by a few bad men. The poor traveler lay on the ground, hurt and wounded, when a priest walked right past him. The priest saw the man, but he did not help him. Soon after the priest passed by, there was a Levite who walked by him. He too saw the man lying on the ground, but he did not go to help him either. Sometime later, a Samaritan went right by the wounded man, and he felt sad for him. The man was miserable and hurt, and no one was there to help him. So he washed and bandaged the traveler's wounds and carried him to a nearby inn. The Samaritan then paid the innkeeper some money and said,
"Please, take good care of this poor wounded man for me."
Saying this, he left. Jesus then asked the people,
So, who was the good neighbor in the story?
Of course, it was a Samaritan because he helped a man in need. So, did you like today's story? What did you learn from it?
Sure, we did. We learned, the moral of the story is that we should always help people when they need it.
Good. I hope you will all remember this.
But Holly, what is today's question?
Today's question is, who did not help the wounded traveler?
The priest and also the Levite.
Excellent. Now go, so that you can come back tomorrow. Let me sleep and don't be naughty.
All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small. All things wise and wonderful, the Lord God made
The
them.
Holy Tales.
So before you watched that story, I told you that the Samaritans were people that weren't liked by other people, and that were seen as a group of people that weren't very kind and didn't do any good really to other people. And yet in this story we learn that the only one who was kind enough to stop and help the injured, the hurt, was the Samaritan. How amazing is that? And Jesus used the story to teach us today, to teach people then and to teach us today as well, that actually we should love one another. That it doesn't matter how different we might be, that it doesn't matter that we might look different, we might behave in different ways, we might have different likes and dislikes. It doesn't matter where we come from, it doesn't matter what colour our skin is, it doesn't matter who we are. What matters is, and what's really, really important in this world, is that we love one another. Now that doesn't mean that we're going to be friends with every single person in this world, because that would be impossible. But what it does mean is that we would find respect for one another, that we would have respect for one another, that we will find a way of getting along in this world with each other, that we will find a way to show each other kindness and love amongst each other, regardless of our background, our cultures, our religions, and our race. You know, when God created this world, when God created each one of us, He made us all different. If you see a few weeks ago, you will have seen a video where I talk about how we are all different, we're all unique, we are all special in God's eyes. That's because He created us in a special way. And God loves each and every one of us, even though we are all different. And simply by this story, He's teaching us to love each other, no matter who we are, no matter where we are from, no matter where our families come from, no matter what kind of things we like, no matter what our favourite colour is, no matter what kind of house we live in, we are to love one another. We are to be kind to one another. So I'm going to set you a challenge. The first thing I want you to do today is to make a list of different acts of kindness that you are able to do for others. So list things like bake some cookies for an elderly neighbour or cupcakes. Go and do some gardening, again, for a neighbour who perhaps physically can't do it themselves. Or you just want to be kind and go and help them. I don't know, take a little food parcel to someone who's not as fortunate as you and has less money, or make a little card for somebody that you know has been alone in this lockdown. Just list all different little things that don't really have to cost you any money as such, that you can call an act of kindness. Once you've got this list, I want you to pick one. And I want you to go and do it. I told you it's a challenge. I want you to pick one. If you want to pick 2 or 3, great. You've got a whole week to do it before the next video. Now, before, at the start of lockdown, we were doing competitions, if you remember. And the last competition that I set was to do an act of kindness to one of your neighbours. And sadly, this made it really sad. We only had 2 entries. And those 2 people haven't yet, but will receive a prize because they were the only 2 entered. And so a prize will be delivered to those 2 children who did it. But I'm going to set that competition, that challenge again. It's not even a competition because I want you all to do it. And you'll all be winners for doing it. I want you to pick that act of kindness and I want you to act on it. I want you to go and do it. So if on your list of acts of kindness you've got, I know I keep using it as an example, but clearly I love cake. Bake a tray of cookies, bake a tray of cakes or a cake for somebody that lives on your street. Do it. Get your parents to help you and do it. Or maybe it's to go and help clear out somebody's garden. Or maybe it's to go and help wash somebody's car. But ask for permission first. Whatever act of kindness you can think of, you can really get creative with this. Pick one. Make a list first so that we've got a bank of them to give others ideas as well. Share your lists, please. Send them to the WhatsApp group if you're in it, the Outburst WhatsApp group. Or post them in our Facebook page, the Father's Home Church Facebook page, and so that everybody can get your ideas and they can all we can all do each other's acts of kindness for different people. And let's be there for one another in a world where we see such bad news, we see such horrible, so many horrible things happen to innocent people. Let's act together. Let's come together, not physically yet because we can't, but let's come together emotionally and let's get a list of acts of kindness to share with one another, and let's pick one of those and do one for our neighbours or for somebody that we know who might not live on our street, but you know them. It could even be a relative and you know that they could do with a cheer up, or they could do with a helping hand. So I want to see it, and when you've done it, I want to see evidence. So take a photo of whatever the act of kindness is, and again, send it in, and there will be a prize for everybody who does this. Okay, I said it's not a competition, it's actually something that we're going to do together. We're going to unite together as a group of children, and we're going to all have a go at this. Okay, and so send it in, and once I've got your photo of what you've done, I'll be delivering a prize this week to your doorstep. Okay, God created us differently. He meant for the world to be different. He meant for everybody to be and have different characters and different looks. That makes us all interesting and special in our own ways. But what he also teaches us is that we must love one another. We must be kind to one another. We must show love and kindness. Okay, I can't be any clearer than that. Have a fabulous week. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you here again next week. Bye.